Those who know the right questions must reach those asking the wrong ones, and sometimes even the lost. I protect my identity because truth has a body count. Welcome to the Anarchist File. I'm fine. The most common lie of the modern world. Spoken with a smile, typed with an emoji, posted with a meme, a phrase so overused it's become the new national anthem of decline. Because no one is fine. The citizen is anxious, alienated, addicted. The nation is fractured, medicated, sedated. The empire is hollow, smiling while it burns. But the ritual persists. You slap on the mask, you grin in the selfie. You post the joke about being totally okay. And behind that performance is the truth. You're exhausted, paranoid, running on caffeine and panic, falling apart. This is not an accident. This is not a phase. This is the architecture of the modern West. A civilization that thrives on performance while it rots in reality. The ritual of fine, think about it. What does M-Vine really mean? It doesn't mean you're good. It doesn't mean you're thriving. It doesn't even mean you're stable. It means, leave me alone. It means, don't look too close. It means, let me keep playing this part. It's the default script of survival in a system that punishes honesty and rewards masks. You don't say I'm drowning. You don't say I'm panicking. You don't say I feel alienated in my own skin. You say, I'm fine, because you know the truth doesn't pay. Employers don't want anxious workers. Friends don't want burdens. Platforms don't want honesty. The only thing marketable is the mask. And so a civilization learns to lie in unison. The mask as commodity, this is the great inversion. Your mask is worth more than your reality. The influencer doesn't sell her despair, she sells the curated glow. The worker doesn't show his breakdown, he sends the all-good boss email. The addict doesn't confess his compulsion, he posts a meme about just one more. The marketplace doesn't want your truth, it wants your performance. And so I'm fine becomes not just a lie but a product, an export. A commodity traded in likes, follows, paychecks. You become valuable only insofar as you hide. Your pain must be disguised, packaged, memmed, and in this process, alienation deepens. You're never more alone than when you're smiling for the algorithm. Anxiety, as the default behind the mask, lies the loop. The overdrive of thoughts, the racing heart, the endless questions. Am I enough? Am I failing? What if I fall apart? What if they see the real me? This is not fringe anymore. Anxiety is the default state of modern citizens. Entire generations raised on stimulants, screens, dopamine drips, surveillance feeds, nervous systems wired for panic, sleep cycles wrecked, attention spans shattered, calmness extinct. The anxious citizen consumes more, buys more, scrolls more, posts more, panics more, and the mask of fine hides it all while the system harvests every jolt of cortisol for profit. Alienation is policy. Alienation isn't just a byproduct of anxiety. It's a necessary infrastructure. An alienated man doesn't rebel. He doesn't organize. He doesn't build. He numbs. He scrolls. He isolates. The more fragmented people become, the less power they have. So the state, the corporations, the platforms, all of them engineer alienation. They atomize communities into lonely consumers. They dismantle churches, families, guilds, nations. They replace belonging with brands. And yet the citizen smiles, posts a brunch photo, shares a meme, I'm fine. Alienation is the reality. The mask is the ritual. Addiction as glue, what binds the anxious, alienated population together. Addiction, not opium dens, not liquor halls, but dopamine machines. Coffee in the morning, sugar at lunch, porn at night, TikTok always, weed in between. Every citizen medicated in their own way, holding their loop together with chemicals and algorithms. Addiction is the perfect glue because it pacifies, without stigma. A drunk is pitied, a junkie is shamed, but the man who can't function without caffeine is normal. The woman who scrolls until 3 a.m. is relatable. The teenager vaping THC all day is chill. And so the addictions go unchallenged, normalized, branded as lifestyle. Citizens addicted, smiling, insisting they're fine. The sovereign perspective. Now imagine looking down from the balcony of power. You see millions of citizens smiling, posting, insisting they're fine. And you know the truth. They're not fine. They're anxious, alienated, addicted. But that's exactly what makes them manageable. They won't revolt. They won't build. They won't resist. They'll spiral. They'll panic. They'll sedate. They'll refresh. They'll perform fine until the civilization collapses quietly around them. And you, the sovereign, profit. You own the platforms that harvest their anxiety. You sell the products that soothe their panic. You fund the memes that normalize their addiction. Their alienation is your balance sheet. Their mask is your dividend. Setting the stage. So here's where we begin. The smile is a lie. The mask is the commodity. The truth is anxiety. Alienation. Addiction. This is not a minor problem. This is not individual pathology. This is the operating system of modern life. And unless you break it, unless you tear off the mask, you will spiral into the same destiny as every other empire that drowned in its addictions and distractions. Rome had circuses. Britain had opium. America has I'm fine is not just a phrase. It is an export, a currency, a mask traded at scale. And like every other commodity, it has a market. It has buyers and sellers. It has supply chains and profits. The mask is not incidental, it is the economy itself. The market value of the mask, think of what happens when you perform fine. Your boss relaxes. He doesn't have to think about your burnout. He keeps extracting labor. Your friends laugh at your meme. They don't have to confront their own despair. The platform tallies your likes. It sells the attention you gather to advertisers. The mask produces value for everyone but you. Your lie becomes liquidity. Your performance becomes profit. The more convincing your mask, the more valuable you are to the system. A worker who collapses is useless. A worker who hides collapse is efficient. A citizen who screams is dangerous. A citizen who smiles through panic is perfect. Platforms is mask factories. Social media is not a public square. It is a mask factory. Every filter, every edit, every caption is another layer of disguise. You are not rewarded for reality. You are rewarded for performance. The algorithm does not amplify. Despair, it amplifies. Polished despair. Memified sadness. Aesthetic anxiety. Even breakdowns must be curated. Even panic must be marketable. This is why the masked economy is so resilient. Because it doesn't just allow hiding, it demands it. Post your joy, but make it aspirational. Post your pain, but make it entertaining. Post your collapse, but make it consumable. Every mask is monetized. Every smile, every emoji, every self-deprecating joke about spiraling is another brick in the wall of profit. Corporations, as mask dealers, your employer doesn't care if you're fine. He cares if you can act fine. This is why every workplace has its rituals of masking. Professionalism is just a corporate term for wear the mask on company time. Show up, exhausted, anxious, depressed, it doesn't matter. So long as you can smile on Zoom, say I'm fine, and keep feeding the machine. The mask isn't just tolerated, it's enforced. HR departments exist to protect truth. They exist to ensure masks never slip in ways that cost the company money. So the performance becomes the policy, the mask becomes mandatory, and the economy keeps humming, fueled by a workforce too anxious to stop, too alienated to unite, too addicted to break free. Culture as mask theater, the masked economy, extends beyond corporations and platforms. It shapes culture itself. Think of the endless stream of sitcom characters, influencers, ad campaigns. The message is always the same. Dysfunction is quirky, breakdown is funny, collapse is relatable. Smile through it, meme through it, be fine, even when you're not. Culture normalizes the mask because the truth is unbearable. A civilization built on anxiety and alienation cannot afford honesty. So it trains its citizens to laugh instead of weep, to smile instead of scream, to perform instead of revolt. The mask is not an accessory. It is the ticket price for participation. Without it, you are cast out. The sovereign's view from the balcony of wealth, the mask economy, is obvious. You see the millions posting their curated smiles, their meme feed breakdowns, their rituals of I am fine. And you know the truth. Behind every mask is anxiety, alienation, addiction. But as long as the mask stays on, the system stays profitable. The sovereign does not wear the mask the way the masses do. He uses it. He invests in the companies that manufacture it. He profits from the platforms that distribute it. He funds the culture that normalizes it. The citizen hides behind the mask. The sovereign sells the mask. The historical parallels, this is not the first mask economy. Rome had its theater, where citizens laughed at caricatures of their own decline. Britain had its salons, where the aristocracy joked about empire, while sugar and opium corroded the people. The Soviets had their parades, endless performances of unity and strength, masking terror and despair. Every collapsing civilization has its masks. They are cheaper than solutions. They are easier than truth. They allow the empire to keep moving while its bones rot. But no civilization has perfected the mask economy like the modern West. The technology is global, instantaneous, infinite. Every citizen, not just wearing the mask but broadcasting it, selling it, monetizing it. Rome's theater seats thousands. TikTok's theater seats billions. The performance is endless. The prison of performance. The tragedy of the mask economy is not just that it hides truth, it replaces it. People forget who they are without the mask. They identify with their own performance. The influencer who sells happiness becomes addicted to her own fake smile. The worker who plays fine forgets how to admit despair. The citizen who memes his panic convinces himself he's coping when he's disintegrating. The mask economy doesn't just deceive others. It deceives the wearer. And soon, there is no difference between the performance and the person. A nation of actors, performing fine until the curtain falls. So understand, "I'm fine," is not a harmless phrase. It is the central lie of your civilization. It is the mask that fuels entire industries, that keeps corporations humming, platforms growing, cultures pacified. Your truth has no value. Your mask is priceless. And as long as you keep wearing it, smiling through collapse, laughing through anxiety, posting through alienation, the empire can continue pretending it isn't already dead. The mask is not your protection. The mask is your prison. Your body's not your own anymore. It is collateral. It is commodity. It is currency. Every jolt of cortisol, every drip of dopamine, every panic spike, and every fleeting rush is measured, packaged, and sold. The nervous system is no longer privatized public infrastructure, and you're not the owner, you're the tenant. Dopamine, as coined dopamine, was never meant to be currency. It was survival's compass. It told the hunter where to aim, the farmer when to harvest, the mother what to protect. A spark of anticipation, a surge of focus, a reward for the right path. Now it's hijacked, rerouted, monetized. Every app, every ad, every feed is designed to trigger dopamine, not for survival, but for profit. The slot machine pull of infinite scroll. There are a notification bubble. The autoplay countdown. These are not accidents. They are coin presses. Each hit of dopamine is another coin minted for someone else's ledger. You think you're refreshing for pleasure? You're refreshing for extraction. Cortisol is leash. If dopamine is currency, cortisol is control. Cortisol, the hormone of stress, of vigilance, of survival. It kept ancient man alert for predators, storms, invasions. Now it keeps modern man scrolling, sweating, bracing for emails, headlines, alerts. Every headline engineered to spike cortisol. Every push notification calibrated for panic. Every workplace structured as perpetual emergency. A citizen flooded with cortisol is not sovereign. He is obedient, he is predictable, he is manageable. His loop is the leash, and he pulls it tight himself. Attention is capital in the 20th century. Capital was steel, oil, electricity. In the 21st century, capital is attention. Attention is finite. It cannot be printed, it cannot be cloned. It can only be captured, sliced, resold. The platforms are not social, they are exchanges. Human focus traded like futures contracts. Every minute you spend anxious, distracted, entranced, it accrues not to you, but to them, to shareholders, to sovereign investors, to the architects of the nervous system marketplace. And here's the brutal truth. Your attention doesn't need to be high quality. It just needs to be theirs. Panic clicks are as profitable as joy clicks. Doom scrolling is as valuable as daydreaming. In fact, fear is more profitable than calm. Calm people log off. Anxious people refresh. Addiction as infrastructure. This is why addiction has been normalized. Because addiction guarantees consumption. The nervous system marketplace thrives not on one-time purchases but on recurring dependency. Caffeine every morning, sugar every afternoon, porn every night, TikTok always. Each cycle creates predictable revenue. This is not a glitch, it is the operating model. The system doesn't want to cure your anxiety. It doesn't want to solve your alienation. It doesn't want to free you from addiction. Those conditions are the scaffolding of the marketplace. Tear them down, and the entire edifice collapses. So they will never be solved. Only managed. Prolonged. Normalized. Because your broken nervous system is someone else's quarterly growth. Labor is nervous extraction. Even your labor is no longer about production. It is about nervous extraction. The anxious worker produces more emails, more check-ins, more panic-fueled overtime. The anxious student buys more apps, more supplements, more focus tools. The anxious consumer spends impulsively, chasing relief. Productivity is no longer about output, it's about agitation. The system doesn't need you to produce efficiently. It needs you to produce anxiously. Because anxiety multiplies transactions. Calm consolidates them. The sovereign's arbitrage. Now step onto the balcony of sovereignty. Look down at the marketplace. You see billions of citizens selling their dopamine for pennies, their cortisol for scraps, their attention for likes. They are livestock, trading their nervous systems for crumbs. The sovereign doesn't play the same game. He doesn't refresh endlessly. He doesn't chase likes. He doesn't panic at headlines. He arbitrages the anxious. When the anxious sell in panic, he buys. When the anxious consume for relief, he sells the relief. When the anxious weighs their attention, he captures it, resells it, compounds it. The sovereign doesn't drown in loops. He builds dams, turbines, engines to harvest the flood. Biological feudalism. What we live in now is biological feudalism. In the Middle Ages, peasants worked the land. They harvested grain, paid tribute to lords, lived and died in cycles of scarcity. Now the land is the nervous system. The peasants are citizens. The harvest is dopamine, cortisol, attention, and the tribute flows upward to digital lords, to sovereign investors. two corporations and states who own the infrastructure of loops. The serf believes he is free because he can post, scroll, consume at will, but every action is recorded, harvested, repackaged. The leash is invisible, but the extraction is total. The cost of being livestock. There is a cost to being livestock. The body breaks, the mind dissolves. The civilization corrodes. Obesity epidemics from sugar addiction. Most attention collapse from dopamine hijacks. Fertility decline from porn rewriting. Depression from isolation. Anxiety disorders from perpetual cortisol floods. These are not unfortunate accidents. They are the necessary byproducts of nervous system extraction. You are not supposed to thrive. You are supposed to function just enough to keep the harvest flowing. And when you collapse, another consumer takes your place. Another worker steps in. Another addict logs on. The system does not care for individuals. It only cares for loops. So understand, you are not anxious because you are weak. You are anxious because you are harvested. You are not addicted because you are broken. You are addicted because addiction is infrastructure. You are not alienated because you are defective. You are alienated because alienation is profitable. The nervous system marketplace is the empire. It is the engine. It is the cathedral of the modern West. And every time you say, "I'm fine," you pay tribute again. Another coin minted. Another dividend paid. Another loop harvested. Your body is not your own. Your mind is not your own. Your nervous system is collateral in an economy designed to enslave you. Civilizations don't collapse in a vacuum. They collapse with a smile, with a mask, with a chorus of re-refined echoing across the marble halls while the walls crack. The West is not unique. It is simply the latest actor on history's stage reciting the same lines in a new costume. The loops are older than Silicon Valley. The masks are older than Instagram. The patterns are eternal. Rome. The circus as mask Rome once ruled the known world. Legions marched, aqueducts carried water, law and language spread across continents. Rome was disciplined, ruthless, sovereign. Then came the circus, then came the mask, bread for the stomach, games for the nerves. Anxiety soothed not with solutions but with spectacle. Citizens terrified of famine, of raids, of political chaos, found refuge in entertainment. Gladiators died so citizens could feel alive. Lions devoured men so the people could forget their own despair. The Colosseum was the Roman "I'm fine" smiley face. A mask stretched across an empire rotting inside. Citizens cheered, laughed, clapped, performing fine, pretending fine, while corruption hollowed the state. By the time the barbarians came, Rome had already collapsed. Its citizens were addicted to masks. Its people had traded discipline for distraction. The smile was all that remained. Britain, the sweet tooth of decline, the British Empire ran on sugar. At first it was luxury. Then, addiction. Sugar poured into tea, bread, gin. Workers fueled on sweetness and sedation. Children raised on candy and syrup. A nascent metabolically enslaved, declaring "I'm fine" with sticky mouths and rotting teeth. And when anxiety grew unbearable, when industrial squalor pressed down, when the poor crowded into gin, at least the mass came in bottles. Gin became liquid performance. Drunken laughter, drunken fights, drunken "I'm fine" echoed through the streets of London. And the empire exported the mask to opium to China, rum to colonies, addiction disguised as trade, sedation disguised as progress. The British smile became global policy, but beneath it, decline festered. A nation telling itself, "We're fine," while industries rusted, colonies rebelled, and the sun began to set. Sugar was the mask, gin was the mask, opium was the mask. And when the mask cracked, the empire dissolved. The Soviet Union. Surveillance as performance. The Soviets perfected the mask in paranoia. Citizens didn't smile with emotion. They smiled with loyalty pledges, parade attendance, ritual applause. The anxious Soviet learned the script. All is well. All is strong. The party is eternal. A forced "I'm fine" under the eye of the state, but beneath the mask was fear. Fear of the knock on the door at midnight. Fear of betrayal by neighbors. Fear of gulags and purges. The nervous system of an entire civilization wired to constant cortisol. Citizens collapsed inside. Families whispered in private. Truth withered underground. But in public, the mask remained. Smiles at parades. Banners of progress. Posters of prosperity. "We're fine," shouted in unison while shelves went empty. And when the Soviet Union cracked, it collapsed almost overnight. Decades of mask economy couldn't hide the rot. The people had been trained to perform fine until the end. And then it ended. America. Blue light and masks. Now look at America. The nervous system marketplace. The empire of dopamine. The kingdom of anxiety. Our circus is digital. Our sugar is everywhere. Our surveillance is not secret police, but algorithms. Our citizens don't line up in parades, they line up in Starbucks. They don't chant slogans, they meme their despair. They shout the party is eternal, they whisper, I am fine, while scrolling through collapse. Rome's mask was spectacle, Britain's mask was intoxication, the Soviets' mask was forced performance, America's mask is curated anxiety, disguised as lifestyle. Each empire found its version of we're fine. Each empire collapsed. America's no different. The nervous cost will decline. The cost of the mask is always the same. Nervous system exhaustion. Rome. Citizens too entertained to fight. Britain. Citizens too drunk and sugared to endure. USSR. Citizens too paranoid to innovate. America. Citizens too anxious, alienated, addicted to build. Decline is not sudden. It's nervous. It's slow erosion of discipline, focus, sovereignty. The empire rots not from invasion but from inside the skulls of its people. By the time enemies arrive, the collapse is already complete. Patterns across time strip away the costumes, and the pattern is identical. 1. Discipline builds empire. Soldiers, pioneers, inventors. 2. Addiction manages decline. Bread, sugar, surveillance, dopamine. 3. Masks, disguise, collapse, all is well. We're fine, I'm fine, smiley face. 4. Collapse follows. Barbarians in Rome. Rivals in Britain. Bankruptcy in the USSR. Blue light death in America. The faces change. The masks change. The loops remain. The sovereign's reflection from the balcony of sovereignty. You see the cycle? Rome, Britain, USSR, America, all variations on the same nervous system extraction. All empires built on discipline, hollowed by anxiety, disguised by masks. Though sovereign does not believe I'm fine. He knows the mask when he sees it. He watches the empire smile while it dies and positions himself to profit. The citizens pretend sovereign's plan. That is why the sovereign survives every collapse, while the anxious vanish with their masks. So understand, America's I'm fine is not unique. It is the echo of Rome's cheers, Britain's drunken songs, the USSR's parades. It is the mask of decline. The performance always comes before the fall. The smile always comes before the silence. The chorus of we're fine always precedes the empire's death, and America is already singing, loud, smiling through anxiety, masking alienation, laughing through addiction, performing fine until the walls crumble. The mask is history's last costume, and America wears it well. The mask always cracks. No empire has ever smiled forever. No civilization has ever memed its way into eternity. The chorus of we're fine is always followed by the silence of collapse. America will be no different. A silent collapse. Do not picture the fall as cinematic. Do not imagine fire in the streets, bombs overhead, dramatic speeches before the end. That is not how decline works. Collapse is quiet. Collapse is nervous. Collapse is millions of citizens performing fine while the empire dissolves beneath them. Collapse is empty factories, empty homes, empty nurseries. Collapse is the screen still glowing while the grid goes dark. And through it all, the smile persists. Citizens posting selfies in ruins, memeing their anxiety as the currency collapses, saying, I'm fine, as borders erode. The mask will remain until the very last moment. The nervous exhaustion, the nervous system cannot sustain empire. Not like this. A people addicted to dopamine cannot endure hardship. A people trapped in cortisol loops cannot plan for decades. A people alienated from each other cannot unite. A people addicted to their own masks cannot tell the truth. Rome entertained itself to death. Britain sugared itself to death. The Soviets surveilled themselves to death. America will anxiously scroll itself to death. Every citizen smiling, every citizen fine, every citizen exhausted. That is how decline feels. Not fire, fatigued, not war, numbness, not conquest, anxiety. The end of masks. Eventually the masks lose value. There comes a point when I'm fine can no longer disguise collapse. When the smile looks grotesque against the ruins. When the performance no longer convinces even the performer. The marketplace of masks will collapse alongside the marketplace of goods. The likes will mean nothing. The memes will rot. The performances will evaporate. And the people who built their lives on the mask will find themselves naked, unprepared, unable to endure, because they forgot how to live without pretending. The sovereign minority, but not everyone will vanish. There is always a minority. The sovereign men who refused to mask, who tore the leash from their nervous systems, who rejected the lie of I'm fine, and built instead in silence. They are rare. They are mocked now. They are dismissed as arrogant, harsh, unfeeling. But they are the only ones who will remain when the loops consume the masses. There will not be many. They will not rebuild an empire overnight, but they will survive. They will form enclaves, citadels, pockets of sovereignty amidst the ruins. They will carry discipline while the rest drown in dopamine. So here is the prophecy. The majority will mask themselves into extinction. They will smile through collapse. They will perform fine until there is nothing left. But the minority of the sovereign will endure. They will step over the ruins of the anxious, the addicted, the alienated. They will inherit not a thriving civilization, but the silence that follows one. And from that silence, something new will grow. Not from the anxious masses. They will be gone. From the sovereign few. The story isn't over. This was the Anarchist File.